Have you ever felt?
Are you listening? Damn. Yeah.
Jeremy, what's going on, man? How are you?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good.
Good.
Yeah.
I seen you hobbling in here. What's going on? You you recovering, or what's happening?
Yeah, about 6 weeks out from ACL replacement. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Nice, man. Is it going good so far?
It's been really good. As long as my doctor doesn't catch me out without my brace on, it's been awesome. Yeah, he killed it. I should still be in fully locked brace, and I mean, don't tell anybody, but I'm back at work and
nice,
feeling good.
That's awesome, man. I think it's like some of the best knee doctors live in Colorado. It seems like I know there's like a few that are like world renowned that live in Vail.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
Just cashing in with ski season knee injuries.
Yeah, that's what everybody kept asking me who my doctor was. I was like, man, you got to be good to be up here. Esposito's killer. He's young and
Is he here out of Durango?
Yeah,
Oh, cool.
Animal Surgical.
Oh, cool, nice, awesome. So what are you doing for PT and stuff on it?
I was doing twice a week at a sports club and down to once a week, and really just trying to take care of it and get stronger and not do anything stupid.
Yeah, that's awesome. So it was what was it, ACL replacement?
Yeah, full. I tore it like 2 years ago.
Oh, okay.
Skiing, and I didn't know you didn't have to have an ACL. So he was like, you don't have to have surgery if you don't want to, and I didn't want to, and then it just got worse and worse.
Yeah.
I had to get it fixed.
Oh, that's man. I've gotten lucky. Like even hopping up out of this chair a second ago, it's like my knee's always like, man, I don't know. There was like a stupid ass softball accident, right? Like up at the college, just hammered, pissed drunk, like running in from the outfield, like, and I love the college, right? I love all the sports up there, but there's potholes, dude, everywhere. Yeah. And like that dirt's like kitty litter, So it's like, I remember like coming in for a fly ball, like boom, like catch it. And I'm like, oh, we're done. We're done for the season right there. So I don't know. It could be fucked up for life, but
I know, man. At our age, you got to be careful.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So, dude, thanks so much for coming on, man. I really appreciate you. And the reason I wanted to have you on, man, is because it's kind of a crazy story. Like, I mean, you and I don't really know each other that well. Kind of, you own a cleaning business. Black Bear. Is it Black Bear? What's the name of it?
It started off as Black Bear Carpet Cleaning and Repair. Now it's kind of grown more into Black Bear Restoration.
Nice. Okay.
Still.
Yeah. So I got into real estate a little over 2 years ago, and so I had a bitch of a house in Dalton Ranch, and it was like mold city, freaking just horrible, right? It's like the water table's there. So I'm like calling everybody in the office, like, hey, what's going on? I get all these numbers, and so I reach out to everybody. And, a couple of different companies in town, and like the numbers are astronomical. I'm like, what the fuck? And then I get your number back and I'm like, what is going on here? Like, so I reach out and I call you and I'm like, hey, I think, did you miss something? Like, what's going on? And then you start to explain to me that like the system of like how a lot of these companies are, doing the bid, because it's like based, on like insurance type situations, right? It's like a software. And so you like explained it to me. And I'm like, all right, never met you. It's like a dude over the phone right at that point. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to present this to my folks. And sure as shit, like obviously they're like, well, yeah, we're going to go with the cheaper price, like we're selling this house. So I was still apprehensive, man, because I was like, I don't know this guy. He could go up there. He's got a great reputation, but is he going to be one of those dudes that's like, we get up there and it was supposed to be $8,000. All of a sudden they walk away and it's $15,000. And, and I'm like, so you guys go up there, knock it out of the park with this job. And the bill doesn't change at all. It's like, this is what this is. Like we told you we're going to do it for this. And I was like, dude, slam dunk. I'm never using anybody else again, ever. And for me, that was huge because I come from the construction trades. I was an electrician for 17 years. And, it's like, your word is bond. And that goes huge, especially like in our little pocket of the world, right? I mean, your word of mouth of the way that you work, how you interact with people's clients, like that kind of stuff will pay dividends beyond any kind of marketing or advertising around here. And so when you did that, I was like, all right, this is it, man. I like this guy. And I'm just, if I can control it, I'm not using anybody else, So I wanted to have you on because like, I appreciated that so much from a tradesman to a tradesman. And it was like, I think people bank on anymore like this change order world or like, oops, you didn't tell me I had to do that. And it's like, well, yeah, man. It's like, I don't know X, Y, and Z under the house. That's why I'm leaning on you to, to do this. So I wanted to have you on, man, to talk about what got you into it, your story. Cause, you've built a fucking hell of a business. I mean, you guys are winning awards. Like, you talk to me about your town and it's like, boom, boom, boom. So it's like, I'm so curious as like, what got you into this and, what drove you to kind of starting this thing on your own. So, if you can, man, take us back a little bit and, we'll dive into it.
Yeah, for sure. No, so I grew up in Durango, went to high school, graduated, went down to play baseball in Lubbock, Texas. And it's so cheap to live, and it's a pretty cool town for Texas. And so I just got stuck there forever. And I was running bars and restaurants for about 13 years, and ended up getting married and then had kids and kind of needed to get out of that life. And I didn't finish my schooling. I didn't really have any idea what I wanted to do. And there was a company in Lubbock called Carpet Tech, and it was just this really big company. It had a bunch of good looking young dudes. They all had nice trucks. And I was always like, man, I wonder what this is all about. And so I applied, went in for an interview, and they basically told me that I was too old, that you like to hire younger, which I don't even know if you can tell people that.
Yeah,
but they were
sure that's illegal on all kinds of fronts, man.
But I'd also applied for a job back in Durango with the train as a food and beverage manager, and came up for that interview 6 months after I'd applied at Carpet Tech, and interviewed for that. And as I was driving back, I got a phone call from them. And they said, hey, we know you had an interview 6 months ago, but we're having 2 of our biggest guys leave, and we need somebody that can step in and kind of take control right away. And this is a big company. There's probably 60 employees at the time. Now there's a lot more. But it was your basic carpet cleaning, restoration company. Had branches in Lubbock and Amarillo and Clovis, New Mexico. And so I started on with them. Started basically as just a helper, just pulling hoses and getting chemicals and sweating all day in West Texas.
Yeah, Jesus.
Yeah. It didn't take long to finally realized that the restoration side was what I liked. Fire and water damage, stuff like that, going in and helping people like in their worst times and being able to help them make it right again was a lot more fun than the carpet cleaning. So I kind of started down that branch and spent 4 years as kind of a technician and kind of moved my way up. And after about 8 years, I was running the water restoration branch of the entire company, overseeing the 3 different branches, a lot of driving, a lot of time away from my family, a lot of hours, but I liked it and I still love it. And so after 8.5 years, I always wanted to come back home, and I figured if I didn't do it, I was never going to do it. And so I put my notice in there and came up here and literally sold everything I owned and bought a van and started cleaning carpet.
Yeah.
And but yeah, I learned everything down there. It was great. Their marketing was really good. So I took a lot of that, just the way they did stuff. It was just something about West Texas, it's farmers' kids, pretty honest people. And so it kind of gave me a good platform to get started on. Yeah.
If they've already created something that that works, you don't have to steal their model, but you can damn sure, put it into practice in your own company.
Exactly.
So how many guys do you have now working for you?
So now I got 7.
Okay.
And we'll go up to 9 in the summer. We'll hire a couple college kids or high school kids kind of help out.
So was the plan from the get-go to kind of grow this business? That was the dream, or was it like, I got to get out of Texas and this is what I know how to do and I've been doing it for 8 years and,
right.
Because I've gone to Texas and come back here and it's like, by default, I'm an electrician by trade. I hold a master's license. So it's like, shit hits the fan, I can always go screw in a light bulb.
Right. Yeah.
So
sure.
or was it like, I want to do this, I'm passionate about it, I want to be back home, and like I think I can do what I'm passionate about back home, and just gave it a run at it?
Yeah, really, that's what it was. I spent 17 years in Lubbock, and I always wanted to get back to Durango. I just didn't know how to do it. I didn't have a degree. I didn't come from money. Didn't have any links up here. I was the last one on my family that all left when I was still in high school, and I stayed. And so it was really, it was kind of just a bet on myself. And like I said, we literally sold everything we owned and packed it, came up here, and I just planned. I was like, if I can make it through this year and I can get my name out there. And then, before I knew it, I needed some help. And then I started thinking, well, maybe there's a way that I can stop cleaning carpet every day and we can get into restoration and just kind of
just did its thing.
Yeah,
Just grew on its own. That's
yeah.
good, man.
Still figuring it out every day. Like, still feels like I'm just getting started.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I mean, the work that you've thankfully did. Speaking of which, I still owe you. You know, I'm not gonna let you give that to me.
Oh, come on.
That was like a miscommunication, and you're such a good dude. You're like, nah, it's good. I'm like, no, it ain't, man. Come on, dude. So
it happens.
But no, I mean, the work that you guys have done. I mean, it carries. Again, I'll say it pays dividends. I mean, your name in town, like. You know, nobody's got anything bad to say as far as, you know, your work ethic and things like that. So, I mean, I think the company's kind of, you know, built off your back, obviously, and whatever you learned in Texas or, you know, whatever you learned as a kid and brought that into your work ethic and the way that you treat clients. I mean, I was just thinking this morning when you're coming on the show, it's like you went out to a house of mine east of Bayfield. And I couldn't be there. I mean, I typically like to show up and at least say, you know, hey, Jeremy, how's it going? You know, what's going on? Hey,
right.
You know, do your thing. But I couldn't make it. You showed up. You're like, I got it. No big deal. Client texts me. And she was a little bit stuck up. I'll say it, right? But, you know, she was just that kind of way. And so I texted her, I was like, everything good? Like Jeremy said, we're squared away. Like nothing needs to happen. And she's like, yeah, super nice guy. Really scary at first. And I was like, because of the tattoos, you know? And I was like, hey, the first time I showed up at your door, like you called me and I was out in the boondocks walking a ranch with a guy and I was in short sleeves. I was like, you didn't judge me. So she's like, no, it's all good. She's like, I just wish you would have given me a heads up. I was like, about what? Like, I was like, he's out there to do the job.
I always try to like, whatever, especially if it's, you know, an older customer, I'll always knock on the door and kind of stand to my right.
Little sideways.
Because I always tell the guys, because they're always like, man, you know, it'll be, you know, sometimes these ladies are in their 80s and they're home alone and I'm a big guy, and then with the tattoos, and I'm like, if they'll just give me 30 seconds, just give me 30 seconds, and then they'll let me babysit their kids most of the time, you know. But it's kind of fun.
Yeah, it's a hurdle, man.
We had these customers in Dalton, and same type thing. We were working on their crawl space, and they went out of town for a week. And the first day we were there, I was walking around hauling some stuff out, and their neighbors called them, and they said, hey, there's this big guy hauling stuff out the back of your house. He's covered in tattoos. And she was like, that's Jeremy. She's like, I would trust him in my house more than anybody else I know. And they were like, oh, okay.
Yeah, all right.
We just didn't, he's dressed in all black. He's covered in tattoos.
Yeah, it's dude, the tattoo thing is, you know, it was, I fought the battle for a long time, dude. I had guys that worked for me. So I was with BP forever. I was an electrician with them. And then, you know, just kind of worked up through the ranks. I was a technician. Then I got a management position at this big corporation. And then I started my own company. And I had guys that worked for me that transition from, you know, that corporate world into my personal company. And I mean, with that corporate shit, I mean, I was buttoned up, sleeved up, you know, and I mean, they're paying me really good money and, you know, $1 billion corporation. So I'm like, I was like playing the part, right? Clean shaven, slick back, look like a real estate agent more than I look like that now. And so, but I had guys that worked for me for almost a decade. I showed up to my office when I had my electrical company and was in short sleeves, like a short sleeve, you know, button up dress shirt. And the guys were like, whoa, you have tattoos? I'm like, hey, this doesn't change shit. Okay.
Right.
I was like, remember, I was like, we can be buddies, but you still work for me. Like, you know, that like the cool thing, it only goes so far. Like we're past it. Right. You know? So it's just like,
same way as, you know, I was always in sleeve carpet tech. It was nothing could show, which sucks in the middle of summer because you're in long sleeves and everybody else is in short sleeves. And it's like, oh man. But yeah,
it's coming around though, man. I feel like, I mean, there's definitely times where, if I got a client or something, I'll just, and I hate it. Like this podcast, I make a purpose to always just kind of be myself, right? I mean, it's like what I say on here, good, bad, or indifferent, you know, people are going to love me and people are going to hate me. It is just what it is, but I'm being real on this show. But there's definitely times like in the real estate world, I still have to kind of switch that hat and go, I'm going to go talk to a guy that's got a $30 million ranch until he gets to know me. Maybe we just play the part a little bit, you know, and it's like, it's kind of difficult at times, but you know what? I made my bed, you know, it's just like, if they judge me, then, you know, all right, they have the right to judge, you know, and for whatever reason that is, but I feel like it's getting, you know, I mean, tattoos, like I remember the first one I got was, dude, I mean, I don't even know if I had to have been 18, but you know, I went hard. I was in a rock band and dude, I was like, and let's do it, you know, and like, whatever, bro, this is my life. And so I went hard. I was like, boom, full sleeve. And like, I finished the top because I didn't have any money, but then I'm like, still like outlined down here. And people were like, whoa, like that first tattoo. I was like, yeah, let's go.
Wow.
Man. Let's go, you know? And so, but you know, I did it to myself but it was really weird. So like right at that time, you know, like the band was only probably really in existence for like 3 or 4 more years. And then it was like, I got to get a job. You know, I'm having kids. Like, what do I do? And so then at that point, it was like, all right, everybody's going to take me serious. You know, and the oil and gas world is okay because you're always wearing long sleeves for FR anyways. Right. But I mean, when you're in the office, I was like, you know, I don't want anybody to know. And like, so I started to like get this weird mentality about it. Where it's like, I didn't want to, I was afraid to like be myself, you know?
Right.
And it was just because I was just thought like, you know, that judgment's going to not allow you to get to that next like advancement, you know? And it's like, regardless of how smart you are or whatever, you know, and it's like, but I either it's me growing older and I don't care, or I've just realized like the world's not that way. I mean, people are going to judge you.
Probably a little both.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. No, and that's the whole neck thing. I'd always made a joke that I wanted to get a neck and a throat tattoo. And I was like, no, you can't. And finally, my grandma was like, whenever you don't have to apply for a job ever again, you can do it. And so when I opened my company and it kind of got some legs under it, and I felt like, you know, I've got a future in this, I got it done. And she was so mad. And
she was like, mad.
Yeah. I was like, you told me
that's grandma,
if I didn't have to apply for a job again, I could do it. And to this day, she's like, whenever you want to get them removed, I'll pay for it.
Oh, yeah. Dude, that is brutal, man. I've only watched like YouTube videos. Oh, it looks like
dude, there's no way. No way.
Yeah, I don't know. I worked at a tattoo shop. My last like stint with the band was 2009 or 10, probably 2010. And I got laid off, but my boss at the time from that company was like, yeah, we'll lay you off and give you job attached or whatever. I was like, fucking cool, dude. I'm going to go play rock and roll music in Denver. And dude, it was no money. Like, you know, like whatever unemployment is now these days, I feel like they're getting so much more than I was getting back then. So I had to get like an under the table job at this tattoo. I was just slinging tattoos, working front desk. And man, we had kids come in that were like full on clean skin, no tat, and like, I want a spider on my hand. And like, dude, I mean, I had people like legit get mad, you know, and it was like, I would be like, nah, man, we can't do that. Like, what do you mean, dude? I'm paying. Like, dude, here's the deal. You need to get more tattoos, get them to where people can see them and get comfortable. Cause like that shit is never going away, you know, like on your hand, first tattoo, dude.
But I had everything done before I did my hand last. And even Gus, my guy, he was like, are you ready for this? And I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, man, hands are a different thing. And I was like, he's like, I'm just telling you. And sure enough, when I got it, I was like, it is different. It's the first thing out the door, you know? And it's like, man.
Yeah. I'm hoping to get my tattoo artist on, Tom Kipp. He used to be with Euroflesh, but now he's got his own spot.
For sure.
But we've been trying to kind of schedule the show. But, you know, he was like really crucial to me because when I, you know, same thing, dude, 18 years old, I'm like, dude, I want to down here, you know, and like, this is what I want to do. And he's like, man, I'm going to be real with you. He's like, I know I'm covered, but he's like, I bought into this life 20 years ago, you know, he's like, I'm in it. And he's like, and this was at a time where I don't think, you know, people were starting to get tattooed, but it was still like, you know, 2010, like people were like, whoa, you know, it was like a little bit more kind of rough around the edges, right?
Yeah, kind of on the front end of it.
Yeah. And so he was like, I think we ought to come up like 1 inch so that way you can always have like a watch on. Like you might get a mortgage one day, you know? And I'm like, all right, yeah. All right, man, I'll trust you. And so he kind of talked me off the ledge and, you know, I was ready, dude. I was like, no, man, I want to do the knuckles and like, you know, I love this. Like, this is the life, you know? He's like, no, I wouldn't do that, man. I would back away. So
what did you play in the band?
So I just sang in that
nice.
band. Yep, I was a singer. We still make music, but we all live in different parts of the state. And so we kind of just do, you know, we'll send files back and forth. It takes a year and a half to write a single song that way.
Right.
But yeah, man, we still, I mean, we're all best friends and, you know, I mean, it was like, we still have a love for it, but you know, everybody's got a family, everybody's got, so it's like, you know, we toured, man. We toured heavy we wrote albums and toured for a solid like 4 years, you know, like, you know, a couple of times like in a van for, you know, 4 or 5 months at a time. And, you know, we gave it our all, you know.
That's badass. I never knew that.
Yeah. And like even up in Denver, that was our last deal. And Yeah, man, Denver at that time, you know, I don't know what the music scene's like, but Denver at that time was not, there was like this weird like electronica, it was like mixed between like rock and electronic kind of coming together. It wasn't like DJ music, but it was like a lot of samples and we played, like we got compared all the time to like Coheed and Cambria, and that was kind of the vein of music that we were in, like progressive rock.
Right.
And we would get put on these shows and like it would be packed and like we'd play, it didn't matter what order, like open, close, and like people just didn't get it. It just wasn't the scene. And like we fought and struggled up there.
Yeah.
You know? And we were all so Denver's so fucking expensive, man. And so we got to a point and then I was just burnt out. You know, I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like we played we started in 2003 and then basically disbanded in 2011 and kept writing, you know, but so anyways, I just was like overnight, like I'm done with the band, dude. I love you guys. Appreciate it. We recorded 4 albums. Yeah, that's super awesome. We toured a lot. And my wife and I bought this like hippie van, like a Volkswagen. We were like, yeah, we're going to just travel around the country and and we made it as far as, we made it, where do we get to? Not San Luis. Yeah, San Onofre State Park in California. It's like, there's like huge like nuclear reactors there, kind of look like boobs on the ocean. And we're there and we went to Arizona, partied so fucking hard with some buddies, then went to Vegas, partied even harder and drove like so hungover. Finally made it to California. We're camping out and my wife's just like sick. She's like, dude, I feel terrible. I was like, I mean, babe, we've been partying for a week straight. Let's just stay here for 2-3 nights. And so anyways, like she's like talking to her mom, right? And she's like, I just don't feel good. And her mom's like, oh, you're pregnant. She's like, no, not a fucking chance. No way, you know? And so at that point in time, we had already been married for 7 years. We thought we couldn't have kids. I mean, we tried or accidentally tried. And so, yeah, so she does a pregnancy test and we're pregnant. And like, that was the switch. And her dad at that time was out in California visiting her grandmother. So we drove from basically San Diego all the way up to like, probably like North California, like that kind of area. And we stayed there for like 3 days and I was like in freak out mode. Yeah. I was like, dude, I am a fucking loser. I gotta get working. Like what's going on? And I had already done electrical work, but like, I was only ever an apprentice, like made enough money. I didn't want to get my journeyman's license and all this shit. So I freak out and we like beeline at home. And that was when like Kyle went super serious mode. I got to work. I got responsibilities. And you know, so that pretty much, you know, stifled any kind of music. At that point, I was like, I got to at least get a life set up for this kid. Yeah. You know, in hindsight, you can have a baby and still play music and go on tour and do all kinds of stuff, right? But at that moment in my head, I was like, you know, I was 27, freaking out. Like, what am I doing, man? I have a career. So,
yeah, no, the same way. I was running bars forever. Loved it. Was kind of worked my way up to where I was running 3 bars there in Lubbock, which is a big college town. And I thought that was the shit. That was the life. And then the minute Wrigley was born, I was like, I can't do this, which was terrifying because I had no experience doing anything else. It's all I'd have ever done. You know, I dropped out of college after I lost my scholarship. And I was just like, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I got to do something. And that's how I fell into it. Yeah. It's funny how it works.
Oh man, dude, that's that little kid thing that will that will throw a wrench into the system real fast, man. And you got to get your shit together, man. It's pretty amazing though. Like, you know, I wouldn't trade it for the world. You know, I'm pretty sure you in the same boat. And it's like, you know, when you're in the heat of the battle, you're like, I got to get this thing. And it's like, man, whatever that desire to protect is, I mean, it drives you to do things that you thought were completely, you know, that you were incapable of, right? Or that were 100% insurmountable. Yeah. And then all of a sudden you look back at it 10 years later, you're like, oh man, like I just needed somebody or something to light a fire under my ass to get my shit together. You know? It's pretty wild. So you went to college in Lubbock for baseball? Mm-hmm. Oh, cool. Nice. Yeah. What position did you play?
I pitched.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So you get a scholarship out of Durango or did you have to go JUCO?
No, I graduated in 98. And I had a really good friend of mine, Clay, that was down in Snyder, Texas. We'd always played summer ball together and stuff. And there's a college in Lubbock called Lubbock Christian, and it's NAIA. It's a private school, but crazy good baseball program. And it's pretty much all a bunch of Division I players that either couldn't make grades, got caught doing drugs. It's like a bunch of Division I flunkouts at this Christian college in Lubbock that are just ballers. And I was like, man, I don't know. And he's like, come down here, check it out. He's like, I guarantee you can get a scholarship. He's like, just come down here. So I took a trip down there and got a tryout with the coach and threw for 20, 30 minutes. And he was like, all right, you want to play? You can play. It's like, I didn't want to go to college. I hated school.
Yeah.
I hated it. I remember when I graduated, I was like, I never have to go to school again. Yes. And then my grandma was like, Jeremy, you'd be an idiot not to, I mean, it's free school and you get to play baseball. And so I was like, all right, we gave it a shot. It was fun. I hurt my shoulder after a year and a half. And it was kind of the point where I could either have surgery and maybe be able to keep playing, or I could not have surgery, let it heal on its own and be able to throw with my kids when I got older. And, you know, I'd played for a year and a half. I wasn't going to the pros or anything.
Sure.
I was like, I'm good.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, man, that pro circuit though, I would say not even the pro circuit, but that like minor league circuit. I got a couple buddies that, you know, they went from the Bayfield program kind of 2002 to maybe 2006. And, you know, it was Coach Hibbert at the time.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, he built a really solid program for Bayfield. And a lot of those kids, most of them had to go JUCO first, but it was like 1 year at JUCO and then they were up in the minors. And a couple of them, dude, it was like, you know, you talk to them and it's like that minor league shit is brutal,
It's
dude.
brutal. It's not fun.
No.
College wasn't fun.
Yeah.
It was a job. It wasn't fun.
Yeah.
I didn't really enjoy it, honestly.
Yeah.
It was cool to be able to say I played college ball, but I'm like, man, it was different.
Yeah, I can only imagine, man. I had so I played football. I played, my favorite sport was baseball. But when I moved here, I was so burnt out because I grew up in Louisiana. So I grew up in West Monroe, which is like Northeast Louisiana. And you can basically play, I mean, you're playing 3 seasons baseball out there, right? I mean, if you're good, you're playing even more than that because you'll make it to All-Stars or whatever you want, whatever they call it. But man, I was burnt. Like we moved from there to here and I was like 3 seasons of baseball from the time that I was 7 years old. I was like, I don't want to fucking do this anymore. Like I love baseball, but I'm spent and, missed the first tryout. Coach Hibbert's like, dude, you gotta come try out. Like, come on, man. And I'm like, all right, let's set up another one. I freaking ghosted him. Still loved me right after, but he was like, dude, I can't. I was like, I don't want to play anymore, man. I was like, I can't. So I went all into football and, I got an offer to go play at, Nebraska Kearney. And I mean, it's like, you know, an RMAC school or something like that. And I was talking, we were at that point in time, I had started playing in the band, you know, and I was like, oh, this is fun. I love music and all this stuff. And then I talked to our guitarist at that time, his brother-in-law, and he had played at the same school. And so he was like, you know, he was probably, you know, 3-4 inches taller than me, thicker than me. We played the same position. I was faster than him, but he was like, dude, you're going to get beat up. You're going to get hurt. Like you know, and he's like, and the other thing, the fun's done. He's like, when the season ends, you're in the fucking gym in 2 days and you're working for next season and you're constantly lifting it. And he's like, it's no longer a fun sport. It's like a job, at college. Yep. Plus you got grades and plus you got all the, and I'm like, and like that conversation stuck with me and I was like, I'm good. I don't want, and it was probably because of the band too. I was having fun and trying to chase girls and stuff, you know, but
shit,
I mean, dude, and Kearney, dude, no. Maybe if I got like a ride or something at the Fort, I might have played or at least, you know, sat the bench, but that's interesting. So what's, you know, I didn't realize that you had made the move, but I thought honestly, like you were doing a bunch of jobs up in Silverton. And I'm like seeing you like on, you know, on Instagram or whatever. And it's like, you're driving it's a great drive to work. So, I mean, yeah. So are you up there full time in Silverton?
Yeah.
Nice.
I think the 15th will be a year.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
How you like it?
I love it. Man.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if I ever come back. Like,
That's good.
I love it so much.
Oh, it would scare the shit. I don't know, man. It's such a, you know, that seems way different.
It's different.
How many people are there?
It just depends. Like right now it's right around, I want to say it's right around 300. The summertime it goes up to, I'm talking about ass. I don't know, but I'd say 700-800. And then, you know, with tourism and stuff. But I mean, like right now, it's a quiet place.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's got to be crickets.
I love it.
Yeah,
I'm a pretty solitary person, and so I'd always wanted to live up there. I just never really had the chance or the ability. And I finally got to the point where the company was, you know, I still work every day and I'm still in control of everything, but I was such a workaholic. I would just thought I could never do anything but work 7 to 8, 7 days a week. And if I didn't do that, then everything was going to fall apart.
Sure.
And I finally, it's like, all right, I can let go a little bit. I did a ketamine treatment program, and
nice.
it changed a lot of things.
Just your perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah, and so I said, I'm gonna go for it. And if I always say, people in Silverton, nobody's up there just because, like, everybody's there for a reason.
Sure.
Like, nobody's like, oh, I just ended up in Silverton. Like, we're all there for a reason, whether we're hiding or we're, trying to not be seen. That was my thing. I wanted to go somewhere where nobody really knew me.
Sure. Yeah. You got that anonymity kind of, at least for a little bit.
Yeah, just for a little bit, and just kind of reset. And it's been awesome, man.
Yeah. I mean, was it kind of, so you talk about the ketamine treatment. So was it a situation where you just had to get out of Durango, as far as, like, it was just too much? Like, I mean, because I think there's a lot of similarities. Like, right before I had to shut my company down, man, it was like, I didn't want to go into Durango, man. It was like, there was a lot of things going on, like financially speaking, and we had to file bankruptcy and all this shit. I just felt embarrassed, but it was like, I didn't want to go to the grocery store because I was like, I didn't want to bump into a client. I didn't want to bump into the people. I didn't want to bump into my guys.
Right.
Yeah. And so, I mean, did you just, you hit that wall of, like, kind of a little burnout, or what?
Yeah, it wasn't like, I hate saying that I needed to get out of Durango, because Durango is always going to be like my favorite place. But, going through a divorce and then having the company, and it just I couldn't go anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I couldn't, and I love everybody. Like, I love the community, but like I said, I'm a real solitary person, and I just wanted to go somewhere I could go home, or I could go somewhere and just not be me.
I mean, that's huge. I mean, like that I mean, I imagine, like, that was one of the probably one of the better things about Texas, which was, like, it sucked having to drive an hour and a half one way, like in the oil fields. Yeah. But man, like, if you had a shit day, it's a long time to think on it.
Yeah.
Sometimes dwell on it, but also, like, decompress. So you, like, leave it at the doormat. You don't bring it in, and, like, you're not pissed at your kids. So, like, I imagine for you, man, and that's better than any view that Texas will ever, know. So I mean, I imagine it's probably good, just that, like, sometimes you got to get away from work, and it's not, like, going back to your comment about Durango, I don't mean, like, get away from Durango, but like, just, get away from, like, everything, like, because it's like, I imagine, like, at a certain point, like, the company, like, whether it was your marriage, company, kids, everything, that kind of starts to define who you are, which is fine in certain aspects, but it's like, I mean, you are more than that, so it's like, I imagine getting up there and getting to Silverton, and kind of, like, it's a good reset to be realizing, like, I am a person outside of all that other stuff too.
Yeah, I catch myself at 10 o'clock on a Sunday night separating screws and bolts at the shop.
Oh, fuck.
Go home, man. Like, the world's not going to end if you go. And that's how I felt. And so I needed to force myself to get out there. And so, yeah, it's been great. It's been a total reset.
Yeah, I can imagine, man. That's pretty wild. So the ketamine treatment, can you talk about that a little bit? It's like, so what sparked that? Is that local, or did you have to go somewhere?
Yeah, no, it's local. It's a funny story. So I'm bipolar. I have bipolar 1. I was diagnosed, say, 6 years ago. So I've struggled with my whole life. Like, whenever I was diagnosed, my whole family was like, well, yeah, we knew that. I was like, well, thanks for telling me.
Yeah.
Would have been nice to give me a heads up. And so I struggled with that, trying to get it in line. And that kind of explained a lot of reasons of the way I was and stuff, good and bad, being manic and being able to just work and just concentrate and just hustle, But then it has the bad parts too, the depression. And I was having a really hard time. And on Facebook, they hear everything. And so I'd been looking into it. And there's these, like, weird ketamine treatments online that, like, kind of sketchy, like, oh, we'll send you these pills, go put this eye mask on, lay in a hotel for a night, and you'll feel so much better. And I was so desperate, I was going to try it. And I was literally on the website looking at it. And my friend Ashley calls me, and she had been struggling herself with some stuff. And she was like, I got something I got to tell you about. And I was like, well, we started talking, and she brought up ketamine. And I was like, Ashley, I'm in my front yard right now on a website about it. She goes, don't. There's a doctor in Durango. Go in there and talk to him. And it was just crazy, because I was literally about to order these pills from Canada and go lock myself in a hotel.
Oh, God.
I have no idea what was going to happen. And so it's called Four Corners Ketamine. And you go in there and you do an evaluation, and he's amazing. And he talks to you and tells you if it's for you or if it's not. Bipolar was one of the things he was kind of uncomfortable, because bipolar is the one mental illness that they don't know what causes it and they don't know how to fix it. and it's really the only one that they can't, like, they don't have a clue about.
Yeah.
Because it's so different. And he was like, I'm not sure, but I have a feeling it's going to help you. And so you sign up for a 2-week regimen, and you do Monday, Wednesday, Friday for 3 hours over those 2 weeks. And it's crazy. It's like a reset. It's hard.
Yeah.
For that 5th and 6th time, you're exhausted.
That's what I've heard a lot of people talk about it and done a little bit of research. Cause I mean, I just was really curious about it. You know, I mean, I think about ketamine, it's like, oh, it's a dog tranquilizer, you know, but
right,
I mean,
yeah.
and I think there's a huge stigma around it, but looking at and listening, you know, hearing people talk and they're like, dude, it's like, you got to put in the work. And I'm like, what do you mean put in the work?
Man.
You know, but it's like, so is it like painful in your body, or is it just like you're in your head?
It's just a lot. Yeah. I mean, the first 2-3 times, it's like the most beautiful thing I'd ever done.
Yeah.
But then walking in the 5th time, I was like, man, I don't know if I mean, it turns you inside out.
Really?
And they found it, or they started real notes in Vietnam, that they had soldiers that they were
like had like PTSD or something like that?
Yeah, they were using it as looking for the word, anesthesia.
Okay, yeah.
And they had different ones, but they noticed the soldiers that were using the ketamine as anesthesia were having significantly less PTSD. And they couldn't really explain it, but that's when they started to kind of notice it.
Yeah.
And, you know, big pharma, it's stuff like this gets hidden. And and that's why I was blown away when she was like, yeah, there's a doctor here, Dr. Kaplan. And I was like, in Durango?
Yeah.
And it's different for everybody. I've walked by rooms and I've seen older guys sitting there with their eyes open, like completely with it. And then like me, like it's IV. So the minute it hits you and then the minute it's over, it's over. There's no hangover. There's no, but yeah.
Is there somebody in the room kind of working you through it? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So
you're completely monitored. Great nurses. They check on you
but I mean from a more of like not a psychiatrist type stuff, but somebody kind of like, is it like an ayahuasca thing where you've got a person there with you kind of working you through this?
I'm sure you could if you needed it. He's funny. He's got these huge shepherd dogs that are always in the rooms, and that's kind of comforting. But no, it's mainly he talks to you before and kind of plants a seed in your head about what you're going to experience this time.
Okay.
And then when you wake up, he'll sit down with you for a half hour or so till you kind of get back with it, and you'll talk and journal. And he's amazing because I don't know how many patients he has, but I mean, to this day, like he asks me about my family, he gives me a hug. He's awesome.
Yeah, that's wild. That's so great. I had no idea. We'll have to. I'll link that in the show notes. I mean, in case somebody's because I mean, I struggle. And I've talked about it a ton of times on this show. It's like, I don't necessarily. I wouldn't say that I struggle with mental illness, but like I think I'm more aware of it anymore. Like in my life as far as depression.
Right.
And it's like, and I think that I drove myself into that point of depression by like kind of blocking everything out. Right. It's like, this is the focus. And it's like, when all of a sudden that like pinnacle point doesn't work or it alters or some shit, it's like, you're just sitting there like, what the fuck did I do wrong? Like, what's going on? I'm a failure. I'm a da-da-da. And it just puts you further and further. And so it's like, I've had some moments where it was like, there was a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel. It's like, okay, all right, you're okay. You're going to survive. But that's how I kind of got, like looking into like, not necessarily like treatments, but like hearing people talk about it, like, what is this? And like other folks that are suffering with, with depression. And it's like, man, it was good for me. It made me like realize like, it's okay.
Yeah.
Like you're not perfect. We're not infallible. We're all human beings.
Well, that's the thing is, man, I mean, I'm as open about it as I am because of that, because there's so many people struggling. And especially as a man, as a father, as a leader of your family, you don't want people to know that.
Sure.
You want to be strong. You don't want your kids to know that. You don't want your wife to know that or whatever. You want to be strong and you want to be that pillar. And so many guys are just struggle with it. And I think a lot more kind of like tattoos over the last 5-10 years, it's starting to come into the light and, being more talked about. Stuff like that. And that's what I've had 3 people that I've personally paid for to go to do it because I believe in it that strongly.
Wow, that's
and
crazy.
These were people that were family and good friends of mine that I knew were struggling. Like when she called me, she knew how bad I was and she was too. And it changes it.
That's crazy. How did those folks, did they have a good experience?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what it is,
Man, that's wild, dude. I'm going to look into this way more because I'm just, it seems like there's just so many people, man. I talked about it. I had some guests on the other day and I was like, man, 10 years ago, there's no way that I would hop on this mic and be like, yeah, I mean, I do from time to time, man. I get in a slump. I'm because you're right. And you hit the nail on the head. It's like you're this father figure, right, for your kids, and you got to be strong, and you got to be attractive and skinny and intelligent for your wife, and you've got to care for her, and it's like, but the whole world you're trying to prop it up on your fucking shoulders, and it's like I'm just a human being,
right?
Like I make mistakes, and I have emotions too. But I was just saying, like 10 years ago, there's no way I would have ever hopped on a microphone and said this publicly,
right?
And so, I mean, that's huge, man. That's a big deal. Like I had no idea that, I don't know if like, it's just one of those things where it's kind of like a private practice, but I had no idea that there was that kind of treatment in Durango. That's amazing.
Yeah. It is. It really is. And it's not just like, you're not just going in there like you're eating a bunch of mushrooms and just tripping out.
Yeah.
There's, it's kind of like, especially bipolar and depression too, you start getting parts of your brain that aren't firing the way they should, kind of shutting down. And then once it starts, it's kind of like this spiral of where your brain just kind of gets used to not firing. It gets worse and worse. Well, it's this chemical called glutamate. And that's kind of what your neurons and everything use as fuel to fire. And what this does is it releases massive amounts of glutamate. So it's like jump-starting everything in your brain all at once. And so it reopens all these passageways that haven't been firing since you were a kid. Yeah. And it's like jumpstarts your brain. And so the minute you come out, like everything's different. It's not, you don't, I mean, some people do, but it's not like I was hallucinating and seeing people and talking to people. It was just this, like I woke up and I was just like, man, this feels different. And
That's
after
crazy.
6 sessions of it, it completely, I won't say that I'm cured because there's no cure for bipolar, but I feel.
Is this something that you think you'll keep practicing? I mean, like, or is it like more of a one and done to get you?
Everybody's different.
Yeah.
So you do your 6 sessions and then they offer boosters. So like you start feeling bad, you start kind of feeling yourself slipping, you go in for a little booster and it kind of refires everything.
Yeah.
I was struggling and I was actually taking the family to Disneyland. And before it, I could feel myself kind of slipping. I was like, man, I don't want to have a bad trip. And so I went in there and I talked to him and he's like, let's go. And he was like, this is what it's for. And I haven't done it since. It's been a year and a half or so and I haven't needed it.
Yeah.
But some people go in every 6 months. Some people go in every 3 months. Everybody's different. But I don't feel like I'll ever really need it again.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. It got you on the path. I mean, I imagine, your life changes and things kind of, I mean, I hate to say like maybe needed to happen, but sometimes it's like, I don't know. It's like almost like you got to open it up. You know, it's like, and that's amazing, dude. That's yeah. I did a ton of research on ayahuasca, and I'm still really intrigued about that because it's like I talked to a lot of buddies, and like every trip I've ever had in my life, I've never been one to like be like, let's take an entire eighth of whatever. And let's just go off the planet. Right. It's like, I want to get something out of it. I want to become a better person at the end of that deal, And so it's like, for me, it's like, I hear people be like, you got to put in the work. And that phrase with ketamine treatments is always just like, you're going to have to put in the work. And like, the more I hear people talk about like ayahuasca and things like that, it's like, dude, this is not fun. Right. Like, this is a fucking struggle to get through this, but you will come out profitable in a sense of that word, like on the other end. And so those kinds of treatments, I think for some weird way, I mean, like, like you said, big pharma, I mean, they're squashed. It's like, no, this is not good. Or, it's some kook in an alleyway, you know what I mean? It's like, that's kind of what you hear, but it's, it's great to see that it's got real life results for you and the positive, and it's here local, it's like if people are still struggling, they can do this. I mean, I don't think you can just go on an ayahuasca trip at, the Holiday
No, I'm
Inn or
super
something.
intrigued by it. I really am. Yeah. No, and that's what the evaluation's for. It's for people that have tried everything. Mm-hmm. And you're on your last. I mean, I was on my last leg. Like, I was a wreck. And he was like, and he told me, he goes, I'm gonna fix you. And I was like, Doc, you don't even know me. He's like, I'm telling you right now, I'm gonna fix you. I was like, you can't just tell people that. Yeah. And then after my 3rd treatment, I was just like, this is unbelievable.
That's wild.
And he's in jeans. He's an old war vet. He's down to earth, cusses like a sailor, funny as shit. But he's saving people, and it sounds crazy, but it's the way he cares for everybody.
Yeah,
it's wild.
No, I mean that's and I'm pretty biased when it comes to that stuff. I mean, I'm not a big like pill taker. I'm not a guy that goes to the doctors unless I absolutely have to. My wife will always bitch at me. She's like, "You go to the doctors," and then it's like if I hear it from somebody else, I end up going right when it's too far gone. But I mean, I think alternative healing is like, it gets a bad rap, but I've always been a huge proponent of it. It's like I don't think that shoving more and more pills down your throat is the answer. I mean, it's just going to block it, right?
Yeah, and I still take medication. I will for the rest of my life just because of the nature of what I have. But I don't know. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's amazing, man. Wow, that's wild. So, Did you buy a place up in Silverton?
No, not yet.
Yeah.
No, still. I mean, I'm actually getting my real estate license.
Oh, cool. Nice.
Yeah, so I started studying for that. I'm being pulled. God, I love Ridgeway. I really like Ridgeway a lot. I don't know why. Yeah. But I love Silverton too, man. I don't know. I found a really cool little apartment, and it's good for me and the kids, and right now I'm just enjoying it.
Yeah.
I'll figure it out.
Ridgeway's awesome, man. I spent some time up there. So my brother and I don't even know how the hell it happened, but we ended up doing a huge remodel in the Avon Hotel.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we were there, and that was like when the 416 fire started. So we were trapped in Silverton.
Right. Yeah.
And so they opened up the road. We were there for like a weekend, came back, and then they opened the road. So we just took our camper because they're like, dude, you're going to be trapped. Yeah. So we just stayed in Silverton for like 3 months.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And then, partied hard. It was that's a fun town in the summer.
It is fun in the summer.
And then at the Avon, it was like, we weren't even done. And Daniel's like serving beers, I'm like, dude, are you even able to do this? She's like, fuck it, man.
Yeah, we did Thanksgiving at the Avon. It was a hoot.
Oh, Dan's a trip. But yeah, so then after that, we ended up getting this big job in Ridgeway on this mansion. It was like a 50,000 square foot mansion, and we were changing all the lighting program. So we stayed on that ranch in one of the guest houses, my brother and I, and it was supposed to be like a 2-week job, and it turned into like 4.5 months. And so we spent a lot of time, and so we were coming back every weekend, and sometimes the wife and kids would go up there. But like Ridgeway's got this really cool vibe, man. I don't know what it is. Like it's slower paced, I mean, the only time it's not slower paced is like when the workers are coming from Montrose through to Telluride. Right. Like once that's all settled, like all the people in the town, it's just quiet, It's got a little bit of amenities here and there, but we were like, I mean, if I wouldn't have got that job in Texas to go back to work for BP, we were moving to Ridgeway.
Yeah.
Like we were 100% like same thing. I got to get out of Durango. I want to start fresh, and it's like Ridgeway is cool, man. We spent a bunch of time there. So
yeah, when I was a kid, it was a gas station, and it was hardly anything.
Yeah.
And so, and of course, when I was a kid, Durango was different. And so you're always trying to kind of catch that next, I want to get into a place when it's still, and then, so that's what I'm thinking. But man, I don't know. I love Durango. I love Silverton. I don't know.
Yeah. So how far along are you on getting your real estate license?
Oh, a long ways.
Yeah.
yeah. I've gone through probably like 14 units. It's a lot of vocab, man. A lot of that I feel like I'm never going to use.
Yeah. It's just a real, yeah. I mean, you know what? I guess I shouldn't slam it, but I would say just like any other state test, holding a master's license, holding a journeyman's electrical license, a real estate's license, half that book is bullshit. I mean, it's, you don't really learn it until you kind of get into it. And then you learn from your peers, right?
Right.
Like I just had a call today because it was like, we were talking about land banking something. So I called a buddy and was like, how do we got to look at this and how do we value? And it's like, you don't know until you get the opportunity to do that little nuance, right, of this job,
right.
And it's like, some of these guys are doing it for like 22 years, 25, 30 years. And they're like, it changes daily. And then the industry changes. And so it's like, yeah, I mean, half that book is just, they want you to pay the money.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the same thing with electrical, dude.
It's
like,
that way with everything.
You can opt anymore to just take the credits and you pay money. And it's like the easiest like pass. So it's like, all right, well, I'll just, instead of doing all that bullshit, let me just pay you $300.
Yeah.
And they're like, all right, cool. I'm like, oh, yeah, what the hell, So,
well, that's how it is in our industry too. It's like, we have all these certifications, but if you don't take a continuing credit, every year, then all your certification. I'm like, I didn't forget how to do all this stuff because I didn't take a dry cleaning drapes class this year. Like, like I've taken all the classes. There's not a whole lot more to take.
Yeah.
Well, if you don't take one every year, I'm like, same thing. Can I give you $700? And we just call it, like, I don't want to go to Marietta, Georgia and spend a week there learning how to,
do my job over again.
It's like I've been drying out houses for 15 years.
I didn't realize you guys had to be licensed. That's pretty crazy. Is it because of the chemicals and everything?
You don't.
Oh, okay.
But in order to be insured, in order to, and I mean, it's just, you got to know what you're doing. Mm-hmm. But yeah, in Colorado, really, you don't.
Dude, that's what's wild. So my wife has I was talking to her the other day. So she's got an interior design company, and we were talking about like basically MEC trades, like mechanical, plumbing, electricity, and all those have to be, licensed and everything. And she was confused because she's like, well, they don't have a general contractor's license. I was like, you don't have to have a general contractor's license in Colorado. She's like, what? She's like, wait, hold on, wait a second. And I was like, yeah, you don't have to be. You can be any, swinging dick and just be out there and be like, yeah, I'm a general contractor. Let's do this.
Home inspection, same way.
I was like, man, dude, I was like, you didn't know that? She's like, no. She's like, I had to get all these certs and all this stuff to be able to do interior design. Right. And like, I could go build a house with nothing. I'm like, yeah. Like that's the crazy shit, all this, I guess the safety and life-threatening stuff, plumbing, mechanics, things like that could kill somebody. But I'm like, a house could collapse.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's wild that you don't have to have that. But New Mexico's are you guys licensed in New Mexico?
We do. We don't do enough business right now to be licensed, but we're on the way.
Dude, they are sticklers, man. Dude, that was like hard. We got our license down there. My old partner with my previous company, he had a master's license down there, but you got to have like your E98, and then like it's probably a money racket for sure, but it's difficult, man. Yeah, and like you got to be bonded at a certain level. And I was like, what the fuck is bonding? And they're like, yeah, and you got to hold $1 million bond.
Yeah,
and I'm like, well, we have insurance. They're like, no, you need a bond.
Same thing,
dude.
I know.
Like if you mess something up, we're going to call upon your bond. And so yeah, that whole bond world, dude. Yeah. That's intense.
Yeah, it's never made sense to me. But
dude, if you have to call upon a bond, which I had to, that's brutal.
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
I'm sure.
You talk about people running scared, dude. Every one of your vendors, because like the moment you call upon that bond, dude, if you owe anybody any accounts, doesn't matter how big or small, dude, frozen.
Everyone.
Yes, dude. If you're listening, if you have to call upon a bond, run to the bank as fast as you can and just operate on cash for 6 months. Oh man, that was such a brutal time in my life. God. Yeah. So what's next, man? Are you kind of trying to hand the reins off? Are you going to open up another shop somewhere? Or like what's kind of in the next 3 to 5?
It's kind of in that point. We've started a Farmington branch, which I've had 2 awesome employees. John's been with me, I want to say kill me, but I want to say 3 years. And he's driven from Farmington every day, never misses a day, he's never late. And then his friend Wes started with us probably about a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago. Same thing. I mean, just solid guys.
Yeah.
Like I said, they never miss work. And so finally we started getting busy and I started getting calls. I was like, man, what if we could make it to where you guys could stay home and, be with your family at 5 o'clock and not driving every day and spending God knows how much in gas. And so we just kind of started quietly. And we're still, it's different. It's a different market.
Yeah.
It's hard. It wouldn't, I guess Durango, because I grew up here, was a big thing that helped. And I don't know, it's just different. But so we're getting a Farmington shop going. After that, I really don't know. We've entertained putting a van or 2 in Telluride just because we've been asked to by everybody in Telluride because we go there a lot. And and that's kind of the Ridgeway thing. It's like, well, maybe if we open a shop in Ridgeway, then we can service Montrose and Telluride. And but then again, it's like, man, I don't know. It's kind of the same thing as when I went from just me and my van to, adding employees. It was a big step. And I'm like,
it's a huge step, man.
Yeah, and everything's good right now. We were stable and I've got a great crew that's been with me for years. And it's like, man, do I really want to go start over again?
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, man, you're building something that you're going to leave your family and you're helping the community. That's the biggest part is just these people need service.
Yeah.
And to be able to go up there and give it to them and then be like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. It means a lot.
Yeah, for sure.
So we'll see.
That's that weird position, man, where you're like, you want to grow, Because I don't know how it is for you, but like I wanted to prove it to myself, kind of that I was worthy and I could build this thing that I knew that I could just do it, right? And then also like getting to that level of, I think when we shut our doors, we had 20 some odd guys, and it was like, then you get away from it, and it was just me and my brother and like both on our tools. And I'm like, I was just talking to a buddy today. He's like, dude, I wish I could get back to just 5 guys, And I'm like, yeah, but do you? I mean, yeah, the headaches are there for sure. But even with the 5 guys, the headaches, it's easier to manage. You got less headaches. But I'm like, I think us 3, and I won't mention his name, but it's like, I think we all kind of struggled from that, like, I got to have my hands on the reins, dude, or shit's going to fall apart.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's real.
But if you can get past that and just, I mean, you have to have solid guys. You got to have really solid cats in your corner. But if you can find those dudes that can run that shop like it's their own, like when they're losing dollars for the company, they feel like it's hurting their pockets. If you can find those guys and place them and do like whatever, profit share, whatever your business model is, be like, look, man, I want you to build this thing. And then that way you're not adding this like huge layer of stress. And I think that's where I made my mistake. It was just like, I was so fucking hands on, and then you start getting angry at your guys for just doing dumb shit, and people, a person's never going to understand it. Like, I'll never forget, like I had a whiteboard one time and it was like, I'm going to explain this to you guys, right? We work for like oil and gas. It's fixed rate. You have a master service agreement. You can't like bill whatever you think you can bill. Right. You got to show proof. I bought it for $1 and I'm going to put a 10% markup on it. So I was like, I come out and these dudes are just throwing stuff out the back of the truck. And I'm like, all right, here's the deal. Here's the thing, guys. So this widget cost $1. Okay. You threw it out of the truck. Now we got to sell that same widget 11 times to recoup the one you just threw away. I was like, then we start to make money again. I was like, you understand where it comes from? Like, I don't want to pay $40,000 in material this month to only be able to bill 30 grand in it. You know what I mean? It's like, and they, at that, when you're so ingrained in it, you're like, why don't you care? Like, this is my company. Like, why, and it's like, dude, they're just a person, man.
You gotta,
they're not thinking about, they're thinking about their wife, broke her leg last week and they're worried about their families.
Yeah.
And it's like, I couldn't think about that until I got away from it. And I was like, man, I should have gave more attention to them and their needs. But at the same time, it's like, you got to run a company.
Yeah.
And how do you do that?
It's
like,
tricky, man.
It's a balance, man. So,
yeah. It is. And that's some of the best advice I ever had is don't try and make your guys be you, because they don't own the company.
Yeah.
And they haven't done this from scratch, and they have their own lives, their own personalities. And instead you're not do everything like I do it all the time. Like, you'll drive yourself crazy.
Yeah.
And you'll drive your guys off.
Yeah.
And it took me 5 years of owning the business to learn that, and lost a bunch of really good employees because I was just hammering them all the time over stuff that maybe they had a better way to do it than I did, but I didn't care.
Sure.
You're going to do it how,
your way or no way. Yeah.
It was hard to learn that lesson.
The Telluride market's cool, man. I mean, if you can get them there, I have a couple of really good buddies. The same guy we did that 50,000 square foot mansion. He works up there. I'm not under contract anymore, so I don't care. He should be finishing up Oprah's house right now. And, he's a hustler. He's a grinder. He works. He does it right, man. He's in Telluride. He's got maybe 6 guys, 7 if it's busy, and he's got and himself, and he'll come out and get on his tools and stuff like that. But that market up there is different because it's like Durango, we've got millionaires, right? Maybe I don't think we have any billionaires up in here, but like it's a way big different of mentality in Telluride, and they'll pay what it costs for the job. Doesn't matter. They want the job done. And so it's like, he doesn't overbill and doesn't gouge and stuff. He just comes in, does the work. This is what it cost me. And from the first job he did in Telluride, he's never left.
Really?
Never left Telluride. And it's like, and there's competition there. And he's like, that's fine. And 15 other companies come in. And it's like, dude, I'm working with these 2 builders and they're good. They keep me fed. They keep, my company afloat. He's like, I have to give everything to them though, because their demands are wild, but they'll pay, man. I mean, it's crazy. So, dude, that fucking mansion we were working on, I can't actually say the name of the owners, but anyway, so he passed away and they were doing this big lighting upgrade. And so the wife flew in, super nice gal, like sweet as could be, billionaire. And we're sitting at this, pretty large round table. We're talking about, a little bit of like scope of work, like this is going to happen, that's going to happen. And I said something, and I like nudged Matt, and I was like, hey man, and I'm pointing at him, and I was showing him like, if we did this, like, and he got the gist that I was like, this would save a lot of money. Like, let's just do it this way. And he's like, come on, let's go outside. He takes me outside. He's like, so before you got here last week, he's like, I want to let you know. He's like, she was up here last week, and I had to take one of my guys off this job because he asked her to do, or said we could do it this way and we would save a little bit of money. And she was just like, she's like, here's the deal. I'm not asking you to save me money. I don't need you to save me money. What I'm asking you to do is do the job. And if you can find a better way, that's fine. But I don't need you to make this about money. Right. And I was like, all right, that's a different way of looking at shit. You know, I was like, coming from like dirt poor being raised, and it's like, all right. Like, he's like, we will do it more efficient, but don't ever bring it up and make it about money. And I was like, what? That's a whole different way. Like,
wouldn't it be nice? Wouldn't it be nice?
Oh shit. Yeah, I guess, man. I don't know. It probably comes a lot of headaches with that.
Oh, I'm sure.
I don't know if you look at the world the same way.
But I'll tell you what, man, of all the money that's up here, I have met more really cool, genuine, rich people than I have the other way. And that's always, because I go to a lot of these places, I'm like, oh man, knock on that door. I'm like, and I've met so many good people that are just incredibly wealthy that it blows my mind, and you meet some assholes, of course, but more than not, like I tell the guys, I'm like, man, wait till you meet this lady. She's so cool. Like, she's so down to earth. Like we had this lady in Ridgeway, same thing, huge ranch house, beautiful. Windows, all the walls were windows. You could stand in her living room and see everything. And she had these sandstone floors and a huge house. And so I told her, it's probably going to take us about a week. And she goes, okay, well, what I'll do, I'll tell you where the key's at. Don't worry about a hotel. You guys just stay here, help yourself to whatever. And whenever you're done, call me and I'll fly back in. I was like, we're getting a hotel. We're not getting it. She's like, no, stay in my house. I was like, no.
Yeah. No. Not doing that.
So we didn't the first time because I was just like, something will happen, Yeah. And, but we've done it 3 times since then. And every time we've stayed out there, and she's so cool. She'll make like our first 3 nights meals and have them ready for us.
Oh, wow. That's wild.
And, yeah.
Why do you think that is? Is just, not necessarily her, but you think it's, once you get to that point, you don't have to worry about getting to that point, and like,
I think a lot of it is where we live.
Yeah.
A lot of times, the people that they want to be up here, they want to be in the mountains, they want to be, I don't know. I think if I was in Chicago, it'd be different.
Oh, dude, yeah.
Or if I was, somewhere else like West Texas or whatever. But I think everybody, like I said, with Silver, everybody's here for a reason. And I think a lot of them are appreciative, and generally you're just happy to be here.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely different. I agree with you, dude. Like there's definitely some assholes. There's always going to be an asshole at every bunch. But most of the folks, like when you deal with the people that, like this is me just speaking personally. Like you deal with the person that wants you to think they're a millionaire, and then you deal with the person that is a millionaire, and you never know it. They show up in denim jeans and a white t-shirt, smoking cigarillas. Those are the people that are like just genuine, and like they're just like, yeah, man, like you're just a person. But you got the wannabes that maybe they got a good job, and maybe they got enough assets to call themselves a millionaire. Right. Those are the people that I always find that are just like the rudest people on the planet. And I'm like, why? Like because you're on the quickest path to being an asshole. Like, money doesn't necessarily make it any better. Yeah. You can be a genuine person and be dead broke. Yeah. But yeah, I've seen that too, where it's like the people that you don't know are wealthy, and then all of a sudden if you find out they're wealthy, you're like, whoa,
no way.
Yeah, man, that's crazy. Like, this is your house? Oh my God, right. Dude. Whoa. Yeah. So it's interesting, man.
Yeah.
Well, Jeremy, thank you so much for coming on, man. Thank you for being, open about the ketamine thing, man. I think that's huge. I think a lot of people could benefit from that. And just hearing your story, like I didn't know that about you. Obviously you and I aren't close, and you had no problem telling me about it. And hopefully somebody hears this and they're like, hey, what did he say? Where's this doctor? Can I get some help? Cause I'm struggling. Cause I don't think enough people talk about it.
No, especially in our community. Yeah. And that's why I am vocal about it. I share it probably too much.
Yeah.
But I figure if there's one person that's like, hey, that guy owns a business and has a family and he's struggling with this, like maybe I can do it, And if one person reaches out, then I'll tell everybody about it. I'm not ashamed of it. It
Yeah,
is what it is.
I don't think you should be ashamed. I think it's fucking awesome, man. So, but yeah, man, thanks for coming on, dude. I really appreciated this, and yeah, I wish you the very best, dude. I really do. So.
I appreciate it. I love what you got going on, man. It's super cool.
We'll see if it goes anywhere. I don't know.
I think it's awesome.
Thanks, brother.
You got it, man.
Have you ever felt?
Are you listening? Damn. Yeah.